The desperate call. Deep space was silent. No sound. No movement. Only darkness that stretched forever. At the center of that darkness floated the Galactic Council station. It was massive, shining with cold blue lights. Inside, the most powerful leaders of the galaxy were gathered. They came from different worlds. Some were tall and thin. Some had scales. Others had glowing eyes. But all of them had one thing in common. They believed they were in control. The meeting had already been going on for hours. They were discussing trade routes, war zones, and new planets to take control of. For them, it was just another normal day. Then suddenly, a weak signal appeared. At first, no one noticed it. It was too small, too quiet, almost like a whisper in a storm. But one of the junior analysts saw it. "Sir, I am detecting something," he said, his voice unsure. The room slowly became quiet. The signal was strange. It did not match any known alien language. It was simple, repeating again and again. The main screen lit up. A single message appeared. "This is your final warning. Stay away." Silence filled the room. Then laughter. One of the council members leaned back and smiled. "Who sent this?" he asked. The analyst swallowed. "It is coming from a small planet called Earth." More laughter. "Earth?" another leader said. "That primitive world? They are still fighting among themselves." Someone added. "They can't even control their own planet." The message repeated again. "This is your final warning. Stay away." This time it felt different. Colder. Heavier. But still, no one took it seriously. "Probably a mistake," one leader said. "Or maybe they found an old transmitter." Another one waved his hand. "Ignore it. Humans are not a threat." The signal kept repeating, over and over, like it was waiting, like it knew something they didn't. Far away on Earth, the planet looked peaceful. Clouds moved slowly across the sky. Oceans were calm. Cities were alive with light. To anyone watching from space, it looked like a normal world. But deep underground, something else was happening. Hidden beneath mountains and oceans, massive facilities were active. Machines moved quietly. Lights blinked in long tunnels. Thousands of people worked in silence. No one spoke loudly. No one wasted time. They all knew what was coming. Inside one of the largest underground bases, a group of scientists stood in front of a giant screen. The screen showed the same message being sent into space. "This is your final warning. Stay away." A young engineer looked nervous. "Do you think they will listen?" he asked. An older scientist shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "Then why send the warning?" The scientist looked at the screen for a long moment. "Because we are not like them," he said quietly. "We give a warning first." The engineer did not understand completely, but he felt something cold in his chest. Above them, hidden under layers of rock, something massive began to move. Not a building, not a machine, something far more powerful. Back at the Galactic Council station, the signal was still playing. Some members were now slightly annoyed. "Turn it off," one of them said. "It's becoming irritating." But before they could shut it down, another alert appeared. "Unidentified energy readings near Earth," the system reported. Now that caught attention. "Explain," a leader demanded. The analyst looked confused. "We are detecting large energy sources, but they are hidden. We can't see them clearly." "Hidden? That is not possible," someone replied. "Should we send a probe?" Another asked. The room went quiet again. This time, there was no laughter, just curiosity, and a small, uncomfortable feeling. Finally, the High Commander spoke. "Send a small fleet," he ordered. "Nothing serious. Just observation." "Yes, Commander." The decision was made. They would go to Earth. Not for war. Not for attack. Just a look. Because, in their minds, humans were still weak. Days later, a small alien fleet approached Earth. 5 ships. Silent. Advanced. Powerful. They entered the solar system without fear. Inside the lead ship, the captain watched the blue planet on his screen. "So this is Earth," he said. "It looks normal." Another officer nodded. No visible defenses. No fleet. No activity in orbit. The captain smiled slightly. As expected. Then suddenly, The signal appeared again. Louder this time. Stronger. This is your final warning. Stay away. The crew looked at each other. That message again, one whispered. The captain frowned. Ignore it. Continue forward. The ships moved closer. Closer to Earth. Still nothing happened. No attack. No response. Just silence. It was almost too quiet. Back on Earth, in the underground base, alarms began to flash. They have entered orbit. A voice announced. The room became tense. Everyone looked at the main screen. 5 unknown ships, hovering above the planet, watching, waiting. The young engineer from before felt his hand shake. What do we do now? He asked. The older scientist took a deep breath. We wait, he said. For what? For them to make a choice. In orbit, the alien captain leaned forward. Scan the surface, he ordered. Scanning. Energy readings increasing, the system replied. Where? Everywhere. The captain's smile faded. What do you mean everywhere? Before anyone could answer, something changed. The space around the ships shifted, like the air itself was moving. Captain, I am detecting unknown fields, the officer said, his voice shaking now. Fields? What kind of fields? I don't know. They are not like anything we have seen. The signal came again. One last time. This is your final warning. Stay away. The captain opened his mouth to give an order, but he never got the chance. On Earth, the scientist closed his eyes for a moment. Then he spoke one word. Activate. In orbit, light flashed, but it was not like a normal explosion. There was no fire, no sound, just a sudden, bright pulse. And then, nothing. The ships were gone. Completely gone. No debris, no signal, no trace. Like they had never existed. Back at the Galactic Council station, the room was silent again. But this time no one laughed. Report, the High Commander demanded. The analyst's hands were shaking. The fleet is gone. Gone? Explain. We lost all contact. No signals. No wreckage. Nothing. That is impossible. The analyst looked up slowly. They are completely erased. Silence. Heavy, cold silence. The message appeared again on the screen. This is your final warning. Stay away. But now, it did not feel like a joke. It felt like a threat. A real one. Far away on Earth, the underground base returned to silence. The young engineer stared at the screen, unable to speak. They're gone, he whispered. The scientist nodded. Yes. Just like that. Yes. The engineer took a step back. What are we becoming? He asked. The scientist looked at the dark ceiling above them. Then he answered slowly. Something they should have feared. In deep space, the message stopped. For now. But everyone in the Galactic Council knew one thing. They had just made a mistake. A very big one. And whatever was on Earth was no longer hiding. End of part 1. Something on Earth just erased them in seconds. The mistake. The Galactic Council had faced many wars. They had destroyed entire civilizations. They had crushed rebellions in hours. They had never lost control. Until now, the room was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. 5 ships gone. Not damaged. Not destroyed in battle. Erased, like they had never existed. The High Commander stood still, staring at the screen. His eyes were cold, but something had changed inside them. For the first time in many cycles, there was doubt. Play the last transmission, he ordered. The system obeyed. The message echoed through the chamber again. This is your final warning. Stay away. No one laughed this time. No one even breathed loudly. One of the older council members finally spoke, his voice low. This is not possible. No primitive world has this kind of power. Another replied, then they're not primitive. That sentence stayed in the air. Heavy, dangerous. The High Commander turned slowly. We need answers. The analyst nodded quickly. We are scanning everything, but we still cannot see their weapons. Impossible, someone snapped. Every weapon leaves a trace. Not this one, the analyst whispered. Silence again. Then a new voice spoke from the shadows. We made a mistake. All eyes turned. It was one of the oldest members of the council. His species had existed long, before many others had even discovered space travel. They warned us, he continued, and we ignored it. The High Commander's voice was sharp. We do not fear warnings. The old member looked at him carefully. Then maybe we should. Hours passed. Data came in from every corner of the galaxy. Sensors were focused on Earth. But nothing changed. Earth looked normal. Too normal. Blue oceans. White clouds. Green land. No visible fleets. No visible weapons. No movement. It was like the planet was sleeping. But everyone in that room now knew the truth. It was not sleeping. It was watching. We send another fleet, the High Commander said finally. Some members hesitated. A larger one, he added, fully armed. One of the leaders spoke carefully. What if this is a trap? The commander's eyes narrowed. Then we break it. No one argued after that. The decision was made. This time, they would not go to observe. They would go prepared. Far away, the second fleet moved toward Earth. This was not a small group. This was power. Hundreds of warships, heavy weapons, shield carriers, battle cruisers. The kind of force that had ended wars before they even began. Inside the command ship, Admiral Reth stood tall. He was not afraid. He had seen war. Real war. Report, he said calmly. All systems ready. Weapons active. Shields at full strength. Good, he replied. He looked at the blue planet ahead. So this is the world that thinks it can threaten us. On Earth, the underground base was active again. But this time, there was no panic. Only focus. They are coming, the system announced. The young engineer watched the screen. His fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Understanding. They didn't listen, he said quietly. The scientist beside him nodded. We knew they wouldn't. Then why wait again? The scientist looked at the incoming fleet. Because they must choose, he said. We don't start wars. The engineer frowned. But we end them. The scientist did not reply. But his silence was the answer. In space, the second fleet reached the edge of Earth's orbit. This time, everything was different. Weapons were ready. Shields were active. Every ship was alert. Scanning planet. An officer said, Results. Admiral Reth asked. Same as before, no visible threat. The Admiral frowned. That is impossible. Then, the signal returned. Stronger than ever. Clear. Calm. Cold. This is your final warning. Stay away. The bridge fell silent. One officer whispered, They're not afraid. The Admiral's face hardened. Sent a response. A signal was transmitted back. This is the Galactic Council fleet. You will stand down and surrender all advanced technology. Silence. No reply. Only Earth waiting. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Nothing happened. No attack. No movement. Just silence again. It was worse than before. Admiral. One officer said slowly, This feels wrong. The Admiral looked at the planet again. Too quiet. Too still. Advance, he ordered. The fleet moved closer. On Earth, the alarms changed. They are entering deeper orbit, the system said. The engineer took a deep breath. This is it. The scientist nodded. Yes. Do we warn them again? The scientist looked at the screen. No, he said. They already know. He paused. Activate Phase 1. In space, something invisible moved. No light, no sound, but every ship felt it. Admiral, something is interfering with our systems. Shields fluctuating. Weapons not responding. Panic began to rise. What is happening? The Admiral demanded. I don't know. We are losing control. Then suddenly, the stars disappeared. Not really, but it felt like it. Space itself seemed to change. Dark. Heavy. Wrong. This is impossible, someone whispered. On Earth. The engineer stared at the screen. He could see the fleet. But something was different. They are trapped, he said. The scientist nodded slowly. Yes. Inside what? The scientist answered in a quiet voice. A cage they cannot see. In space. The Admiral tried to stay calm. Regain control, he shouted. But nothing worked. Ships drifted. Systems failed. Communication broke. Then, a voice filled every ship. Not loud. Not angry. Just calm. You were warned. The Admiral froze. Who is this? He demanded. No answer. Only silence. Then the voice came again. You chose to continue. On Earth, the scientist closed his eyes. Phase 2, he said. In space. Light appeared, but not like before. This time it moved. Lines of energy. Invisible walls. Closing in. Ships tried to escape, but there was nowhere to go. No! No, this can't be happening, an officer screamed. The Admiral gripped his chair. Fire all weapons. Nothing happened. They are disabled. The walls came closer. Slow. Silent. Unstoppable. Then, everything ended. Not with an explosion. Not with fire. Just gone. The entire fleet. Hundreds of ships. Erased. In seconds. Back at the Galactic Council. No one spoke. No one moved. The second fleet was gone, just like the first. But this time, there was no doubt, no confusion, only fear. They destroyed them, someone whispered. No, the old member said quietly. They allowed them to exist and then removed them. The High Commander stared at the screen. For the first time, he understood. We are not fighting a primitive species, he said slowly. We are facing something far more dangerous. On Earth, the base returned to silence again. The engineer sat down slowly. It's over, he asked. The scientist looked at the screen one last time. For them, yes. And for us? The scientist did not answer immediately. Then he said something that made the engineer's heart stop. It's just beginning. In deep space, the message did not return. No warnings. No signals. Nothing. And that was the most terrifying part. Because now, Earth did not need to warn anyone. The truth revealed. The galaxy had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Fearful quiet. The Galactic Council no longer felt like the center of power. The great chamber, once full of pride and control, now felt smaller. 2 fleets had been erased. Not defeated. Not damaged. Removed. Like they had never been there. No enemy had ever done that before. No one even knew how it was possible. The High Commander stood alone for a long time before the meeting began. His hands were behind his back, but they were not steady. For the first time in his long life, he was unsure. The council gathered again. But this time, the mood was different. No one spoke loudly. No one argued. They waited. Report, the High Commander said. The analyst stepped forward, his face pale. We have scanned Earth again. There are still no visible weapons. No fleets. No activity in orbit. That is a lie, one member said sharply. We lost 2 fleets. I know, the analyst replied quietly. But we cannot see how they did it. Another member leaned forward. Then they are hiding everything. The old council member spoke again, his voice calm but heavy. Or we are not advanced enough to see it. That idea was worse. Much worse. Try to contact them, the High Commander ordered. A signal was prepared. Carefully, respectfully this time. This is the Galactic Council. We request communication. The message was sent. Everyone waited. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Nothing. No reply. They are ignoring us, someone whispered. The High Commander's jaw tightened. Send again. The message repeated. Still nothing. Silence from Earth. Complete silence. Far away, Earth remained still. The oceans moved slowly. The clouds drifted. Cities continued their normal life. But deep underground, everything was active. The same base. The same people. But now, something had changed. The young engineer stood in front of a much larger screen. It showed not just Earth, but many parts of space. They are trying to contact us, he said. The scientist nodded. Yes. Should we answer? The scientist looked at the screen carefully. Not yet. The engineer frowned. Why not? The scientist turned to him. Because they are still thinking like rulers, he said, not like survivors. The engineer did not fully understand, but he felt it. Something bigger was happening. Something beyond war. Back at the council, they are not responding, the analyst said. The high commander turned slowly. Then we make them respond. How? Someone asked. The commander did not answer immediately. Then he said something dangerous. Prepare a third fleet. The room froze. Even the strongest members looked shocked. Commander, we lost 2 fleets already, one said carefully. Yes, he replied, and we learned nothing. Silence. He stepped forward. This time, we did not go to fight, he said. Then why go? Another asked, to force an answer. The old council member shook his head slowly. You still do not understand, he said. The commander looked at him, then explained. The old one's eyes were deep. They are not reacting like prey, he said. They are not reacting like enemies. Then what are they? The old member paused. Then he said quietly, they are acting like something that already won. That sentence stayed in the room. Cold, uncomfortable. True. Hours later, before the third fleet could be launched, something happened. The main system activated suddenly. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. The entire chamber froze. Source, the commander asked. The answer came. Earth. Silence. Real silence. Not fear, not confusion. Something deeper. Play it, the commander ordered. The screen turned dark. Then a voice. Calm. Clear. Human. This is Earth. No anger. No fear. Just control. The council listened carefully. You were given a warning. The voice continued. You chose to ignore it. The high commander stepped forward. We request peaceful communication. There was a small pause. Then the voice replied. You had that option before. On Earth. The engineer watched the transmission happen live. His heart was beating fast. This is it, he whispered. The scientist nodded. Yes. They finally understand. The scientist looked at him. No, he said. They are just starting to. Back at the council, the commander tried again. We did not understand your capabilities, he said. Now we do. We wish to avoid further conflict. Silence. Then the voice returned. You are not in a position to choose conflict. The words were simple, but they hit hard, very hard. Explain your actions, the commander demanded, trying to stay strong. There was a longer pause this time. Then, the truth began. On Earth, the scientist looked at the engineer. Listen carefully, he said. This is the part they will never forget. In the council chamber, the human voice spoke again. For years we were watched. Images appeared on the screen. Earth, old satellites, unknown ships hidden in deep space. We saw your scouts, your probes, your silent observations. The council members looked at each other. They had never been detected before. Never. We understood your nature, the voice continued. You expand. You take. You control. More images. Destroyed planets. Occupied systems. Wars. The truth of the council exposed. So we stayed silent, the voice said. We did not announce ourselves. We did not show our progress. We did not ask for help. The commander felt something cold inside him. What did you do? He asked quietly. On Earth. The scientist answered before the voice did. We prepared, he said. Back in the council. The voice confirmed it. We prepared. Images changed again. Underground bases. Massive machines. Energy systems beyond understanding. Ships hidden beneath oceans. Weapons that did not look like weapons. For decades, we studied everything we found. Your technology. Ancient ruins. Signals older than your council. The old council member's eyes widened. Ancient? He whispered. The voice continued. We found things you missed. We learned things you ignored. And we built something new. The screen went dark again. Only the voice remained. You thought we were weak. You thought we were divided. You thought we were behind. A pause. Then one final sentence. You were wrong. Silence. No one in the council spoke. No one could, because now they understood this was not a new power. This was something that had been growing in the shadows for a long time. The High Commander finally spoke. "What do you want?" he asked. No pride, no anger, just a question. On Earth, the engineer looked at the scientist. "What do we want?" he repeated. The scientist looked at the screen. Then he said something very simple. "Peace," he said. Then he added, "On our terms." In the council chamber, the answer came. "We want distance. We want respect. And we want control of our own space." The commander nodded slowly. "That can be arranged." But then, the voice said something that changed everything. This is not a negotiation. At that exact moment, new alerts appeared across the council systems. Unknown objects detected. Multiple signatures. Location outer council space. The room exploded with panic. What is happening now? The analyst's voice shook. "They are ships." "Whose ships?" the commander demanded. The answer came. "Earth's." Silence fell again. But this time, it was fear. Pure fear. Far away, for the first time, human ships appeared. Not near Earth, not in defense, but moving forward, into the galaxy. On Earth, the engineer watched in shock. "They are leaving?" he asked. The scientist nodded slowly. "Yes." "Why?" The scientist looked at him one last time. "Because hiding is no longer needed." Deep in space, the human fleet moved silently, calm, controlled, unstoppable. Back in the council, no one spoke, because now they knew. The warnings were over. The silence was over. The waiting was over. Something new had begun. Now they beg. The galaxy had changed. Not slowly, not quietly, but completely. The moment Earth ships entered open space, everything old began to fall apart. The Galactic Council, once the strongest power in known space, was no longer in control of events. They were now reacting, not leading. And that was something they had never experienced before. Fear was spreading, not just in one system, but everywhere. The council chamber was no longer proud. It felt heavy, dark, like a place waiting for judgment. The High Commander stood in front of the main screen. His face showed no anger now, only pressure, only realization. "Report," he said. The analyst stepped forward slowly. "The human fleet is moving deeper into council territory," he said. "No attacks." "No, sir." The commander frowned. "Then what are they doing?" The analyst hesitated. "They are mapping everything." Silence. That word hit harder than war. Mapping. Understanding. Control. Far away in space. Human ships move in formation. Not chaotic. Not aggressive. Perfectly organized. Every movement was planned. Every jump precise. They did not rush. They did not chase. They simply advanced. Like something that already knew the outcome. Inside one of the ships, there was no shouting. No fear. Only calm focus. The same young engineer from Earth stood among the crew. He was no longer just an engineer. He was part of something bigger now. Much bigger. He looked at the star map in front of him. "So this is the council space," he said quietly. A senior officer nodded. "Yes." "And they built all this, thinking no one could challenge them." The officer gave a small smile. "They never met us before." Back at the council, a new signal arrived. It was from a border system. Human ships detected near core trade route. Then another. They have entered restricted zones. Then another. They are not responding to warnings. Panic began to rise again. "Intercept them," someone shouted. "We already tried," the analyst said quickly. "Our fleets are not responding properly." "What do you mean not responding?" "They are hesitant." The word confused the room. "Hesitant?" the commander repeated. The analyst nodded slowly, like they are unsure if they should fight. That was the real change. Not destruction, not fear, but hesitation. The council fleets were no longer certain, and uncertainty in war meant loss. The old council member spoke again. "I told you," he said quietly. "They are not invading like us." The commander turned sharply. Then how are they invading? The old member answered without looking away. They are simply arriving. Back in space, the human fleet reached a council defense line. Massive war stations stood ahead, weapons charged, shields active, a wall of power. A normal civilization would have stopped, but the human fleet did not stop. It paused, only for a moment. Then a signal was sent. Inside the council chamber, the screen lit up again. Earth, a single transmission, the same calm voice. This is Earth. The commander closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. Play it. The voice continued. You built your strength on silence from others. You expanded into systems that could not resist. You called it order. A pause. But it was control. The council members stayed silent. No one denied it, because it was true. The voice continued again. You are now experiencing the same silence you once gave others. That sentence landed deeply. Too deeply. Then something unexpected happened. A new signal came from one of the council fleets. It was not a report. It was a request. Do not engage them. The commander turned sharply. What is this? Another fleet responded. They are not attacking us, and we cannot predict them. A third message followed. If we fire first, we will lose. The council was breaking from inside, not because of destruction, but because of understanding. The commander finally spoke, but his voice was lower now. Send a peace request. No one argued. No one joked. No one questioned. Because now, there was no pride left to protect. The message was sent. This is a Galactic Council. We request peace negotiations. On Earth ships, the message was received. The engineer looked at the captain. They are asking for peace, he said. The captain nodded slowly. Yes. Do we stop? The captain looked at the star map. Long pause. Then he answered, no. The engineer froze. No. The captain looked at him. We do not stop because they are afraid. We stop when balance is restored. Back at the council. Minutes passed. No reply. Then finally, the Earth voice returned. This is not surrender. The commander stepped forward. We understand. Another pause. Then the voice continued. It is acceptance. Silence filled the chamber. Heavy. Final. Then the truth came. Not in anger. Not in threat. But in clarity. You are no longer the only power in space. You are no longer the center. You are now one of many. The council members looked at each other. That sentence changed everything. Not because it was violent, but because it was final. On Earth, the engineer stood quietly. So what now? He asked. The scientist looked at the stars. Now, he said, we coexist. The engineer nodded slowly. And if they don't accept it? The scientist gave a small, calm smile. Then they will learn again. In space, the human fleet stopped advancing, not retreating, not surrendering, just stopping, like a wall that decided not to move further. The council chamber was silent for a long time. Then the high commander finally spoke. They were never trying to destroy us, he said slowly. A pause. They were correcting us. No one disagreed. Far away, Earth remained visible, calm, quiet, alive, but now no longer ignored, no longer underestimated. The galaxy had changed again, but this time not through war, not through destruction, but through understanding and fear turning into respect. The final message came from Earth. Simple, clear, unchanging. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we will not be ignored. The council accepted it, not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice left. And for the first time in history, the galaxy learned something new. Not that humans were strong, not that humans were dangerous, but that humans remember everything. Final line. They ignored Earth's warning. Now they live under its silence.